Whenever that is.
Subscription, everything is live.
Yeah. Click on it. See if it works.
Live.
Live.
Live. Passcode, if it go out, 117, so you can just keep testing it.
Good morning.
I'll tell them mental activity here, so you won't see the chairs that are looking empty. So it won't look like nobody's here.
I get you. I get you.
So moving it out of the viewpoint, I think visually this helps a lot. Because I don't expect you guys to have like 50 million people sitting in chairs.
Yeah. Yeah. But it looks wonderful. It turned out.
Hopefully something you guys can try to replicate and make it better, bigger next year.
All right. Hey. We're live on YouTube, and we're live. We're live. Finally. Yeah, this is live. Yeah. It's zoomed in, so.
Morning. How are you? We're good. How are you?
Yeah. We can't right here. We're just gonna do a close up of her.
What do you want to do to serve? No, my cousin.
Yeah, you can't see it, so it'll be okay. All is well.
Can I get you guys?
I'm gonna sit really quickly and make sure it's very pretty.
Yes, sir.
But I don't think it's pretty good. Nothing.
A little bit.
Little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I can sit in the back end, like just the top. But I can also zoom in a little bit too. I mean, you can give her like a more
We're live, and we're on the. But that zoom is what's holding it down, though. That zoom is stable as hell. Everything else is going haywire. Lab at the house, comment systems, all that shit's down right now. I don't know why either. I just don't understand. And then I don't understand why this is happening either. I don't understand it. Why would kids be coming through here right now?
I mean, it's fine.
There's like a...
It's kind of weird. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I guess they're doing the tour. That's what it is.
But it was just, we were talking to...
It is a school day, right? Trying to fix his damn thumbnail.
I think we've
It looks horrible.
been setting up at the same time for events, but never together. Yeah. Right. But anyway, she got my brain. This was turned into insanity. Like, this schedule. One thing after another. Unfortunately, it happened. cancellations that it creates. The 1030 rules can be easier blocks to put in the
Yeah, I got it in my computer once, and then it was off. It was off after that. I feel like the batteries in my mouse is going dead.
Oh, but anyway, I remember. I was talking to Hayden about it. Yeah, it's kind of I think it was
Yeah.
literally and then we were like, calendar or finding that version of passes. It must be like,
I
think if it's like you're doing it on your own time, whatever. And if they would say that you can come to work really late or something, they have a right.
Hello.
We finally made it.
We finally made it. We've been having all kind of problems.
Oh no.
I'm locked out of my computer at home,
Oh.
so I can't control everything.
Whenever you need to holler at me, I'll be on it.
Yep, we're gonna get started here,
I
hopefully.
think that was one of Howard's points, is like the whole like argument about car crashes and stuff. Like you see that it's alcohol, it's all alcohol. Oh.
What's up, everybody? We're still trying to get everything situated. Hey, how you doing? Hey, nice to see you here. I'm having a lot of problems with the computer. Yeah, so. No, it's not nothing anybody can do right now. I'm not saying, it's not all bad. I mean, we're live and everything. Yeah, that's live. The Zoom is up. Everybody's in here. But I can't access my computer at home. That's where all the graphics, all the stuff that I had done all night is there at home. It's not on this one. So, they had a connection problem at first in there. Like I said, it's
Good morning, everyone. We are going to get started. Good morning. Good morning. So my name is Menelek Alexander, and we are having the Ohio Cannabis Lobby. Not the first of its kind, but something different and something new. So I wanted to introduce Representative Brent, and we wanted to thank her for her time and due diligence with helping us through this process.
Hi everyone, my name is Juanita Brent. I just happen to be a state representative for Ohio House District 12. I'm so glad that we are here for the Ohio Cannabis Lobby Day. When I tell you it has been a journey, I've literally broken a leg to make this happen. Not literally, but I did break my leg to make this happen. But I'm so glad to have everyone here. We are here at the State House, which is also better known as the People's House. Everyone in this room belongs here. If you are at home, this is where you belong. This is your house. This is where you belong to fight for yourself. Today we are fighting for cannabis. And the reason why we're using cannabis and not marijuana, because we're just going to be real historical. Marijuana is a slang word. We are better than that. We are dealing with people who are patients, educators, cultivators, people who are just interested in the topic. And the first thing we have to do is educate the outside public on how we want to address this plant. Again, how we address this plant. Not a drug, not a street substance, how we address this plant. Something that used to be grown in people's backyards, something that used to be grown any old type of place with very little maintenance. That's what we are fighting for, access to a plant that can help and save so many lives. In this journey, I've met so many wonderful people. I'm gonna shout out some names. If I don't include your name, just trust me, blame the medicine on my broken bone and not my heart. But in this journey of even being in this cannabis space, it really took me outside of the country, and I tell everybody about my first time going to Japan and taking a boat ride in Japan, and remember having the tour guide tell us, hey, those little rafts right there have hemp on it. And I was like, well, what's hemp? It's like 15 years ago. I was like, what's hemp? Never heard of hemp, never saw hemp before. And they said, well, we use hemp to filtrate the water. So when you go out there on the boat, you see all these rafts with hemp on it, and the roots are in the water. They were using hemp to filtrate the water. And at that moment, I was hooked. Now, 15 years ago, I did not think I was about to be a state rep. I was not thinking about making laws. But that moment let me know how far behind we as Ohioans and we as Americans are when it comes to this plant. For those who at home, hemp is the cousin of cannabis, so they're all interrelated. For those who are wondering what hemp is, I sometimes have to explain it to people, because some people don't know what hemp is. But it looks just alike, it smells just alike. For those who are experienced people, you're like, why is she explaining hemp? Because trust me, I talk to people all the time, they don't know what hemp is. So I saw this hemp product and I said, we as Americans have to do better. And they were so far advanced when it came to construction, when it came to what they were doing on the medical side, light years ahead of us, where we didn't have anything that looked similar to that 15 years ago. And so I just told myself, I said, if I get a chance to do something with this, to expand upon this, I'm going to do that within my journey. Now, deciding to run for office was a very interesting journey because you come across a lot of different people. I'll shout out Wendy and Tim Johnson. They were one of the first people I met before I ran for office, just going to one of their events about cannabis. And so even meeting them was a journey within itself of just learning. We have to be in a place where we are learning about cannabis. We're educating and learning about what cannabis does, what it doesn't do, about this plant that we have here that can be such a resource within our country as well, particularly within our state. We have to realize that a couple hundred miles above us, we have Michigan. Do you guys know Michigan has adult use? I'm talking to the crowd right now, but I'm talking to somebody at home who does not know that Michigan has adult use. And what they're doing is they're making money, tons of money that they use for roads, for bridges, for schools. And it's not just a Colorado thing, it's not just a bunch of hippies on the road, and it's very much a huge lifestyle of what's going on within Michigan. It's very safe. You go past these dispensaries, people are in line, people are sitting in their cars, they can't get out if you know what's going on because of the pandemic. Everyone has to sit in their car and wait in line to get into their dispensaries. And it's very orderly, and it's in all different types of communities, poor communities, rich communities, suburbs, the city, and they're making it work because they understand the value of having access to a plant within itself. This journey of even talking about cannabis, we have to address the monkey in the room because I would not be me if we didn't address the monkey in the room when people talk about the war on drugs. Now the problem when you say the statement, the war on drugs, cannabis is a plant. Now, we were talking about crack, we were talking about cocaine, we were talking about some other things. Those are drugs, those are processed. Those are things that you manufacture and you develop. But we know cannabis is not a drug. It's medicine, it's a plant, it's a lot of things, but it's not a drug. So that slang of even how it's being used is happening all over, and we have to stop that. I'm holding everyone in this room accountable that has to say, when you hear somebody say the war on drugs and they try to equate that with cannabis, I'm holding you and you and you and you guys too, that you will not allow people to talk like that about cannabis. Now with us being here with this journey, we're talking about cannabis, we had this time where people were unjustly incarcerated. They're still being unjustly incarcerated. Even in a time of it being legalized, we still have disproportionately Black and brown people who are being incarcerated. They might be your cousin, your mother, yourself, who might have had a roach, they might have had a little bit of something, and now it's taking them away from the possibility of getting a student loan, taking them from the possibility of getting a license in the hemp industry, because now if you have any type of drug-related offenses in the state of Ohio, you cannot get a hemp license. Make it make sense. That we are overly criminalizing people who had already done their time. So in this time of our state, we've seen many things come up. We've seen ballot initiatives come and go, fail. We've had multiple languages from people like myself, and even from some of my other colleagues. Shout out to Rep. Ferguson for showing up. Thank you. In his bill that he's introduced to a rep calendar. And we've also had things that have never even received a hearing. Enough is enough. Ohio, the change has to start with us. We have to have equity when it comes to our licenses. We have more than 114 licenses. It's only a handful of them that belong to Black and brown people, 9 to be exact. But the people who've been overly criminalized by it have been Black and brown people, by the tune of 70% of people. Enough is enough when it comes about talking about a plant. We have to have access for patients. You know, I thank so many people in this room for helping me push House Bill 60, which helped legalize for autism to be considered as a medical condition for medical cannabis. That received 3 hearings. We're waiting on that last one to get that pushed out for a vote. Enough is enough when it comes to getting access to children so they can help them when it comes to autism. Enough is enough when it comes to people who want to be caregivers, who just want to help compassion care, and they can't do that here within the state. Enough is enough that we don't have adult use, not recreational, because we're not playing no games, adult use cannabis here within the state of Ohio over a plant. And if we are saying as a state, we are pro-business, and we are pro-trying to look for other ways of revenue, this is the key. Because you can't tell me what's happening in Illinois, Michigan, and other states that are right around us, and even what's about to happen in Pennsylvania, and then think to ourselves that people want to stay here in Ohio. On a very basic level, Ohio just lost a congressional district. And as much as my colleagues like to try to rationalize why people are leaving, you don't think if we legalize adult use cannabis, people will want to stay here in the state? We are pushing people out of the states, out of ignorance about a plant. This journey has taken me a lot of places, it's connected me with a lot of people. And I just want to acknowledge some people. Thank you, Natasha, for what you've done for helping people get expungements off their records. I want to thank Allie for holding my hand a lot of times through this journey of introducing me to people and just really getting me to where I need to do. You know, I want to thank Pothead Genius for having videos that really just educating people about people in the community who are working with cannabis. I think I want to thank Vietnamese for taking me on a tour of their dispensary. I want to thank the Ariana Kirkpatrick, who's not here. She's the only Black woman who's vertically integrated in cultivation, production, and dispensary here within the state of Ohio. I want to thank Julie for always opening up her life, her family, and her hemp farm to educating me and my colleagues about hemp and what the importance of it is within our state. But that list it sounds like a small list, but there's so many people. I could go on and on about the people who've been with me on this journey when it comes to working on cannabis. But we have to do more. So what I charge, and I'm about to wrap up, is that everyone that's here and everyone that's at home, you contact every legislator, all 132 legislators in the Senate and in the House, and you tell them we need equity when it comes to licenses, we need better access for patients when it comes to cannabis, and we need adult use cannabis, period. If you are not pushing for equity, if you're not pushing for access for patients, if you're not pushing for adult use, you are going against the cause of what we need to do here within the state of Ohio. This would be a waste of our time here at the State House, which is the People's House. So I thank you so much for Manalack and for Anthony for organizing this. Shout out to Anthony in the back, he's on the computer making sure we look good on TV. Please make sure I look slim and the right angle. Make sure my boot's not in the angle of this video. But I thank everyone for showing up. This is our day. Don't get comfortable with this, because trust me, it was a lot of hoops and barrels to even get us there. But today is our day. And we are going to show them that cannabis is what the people want. We're gonna keep showing up. So I thank you so much. My name is Juanita Brent, State Representative for House District 12. Thank you.
So at this time, we are going to introduce Anthony Riley.
Hello, mic check. All right, as you said, today is our day. It is time for us to come together. As you've heard, my name is Anthony Riley. I'm the founder of the Ohio Cannabis Live organization. It has really, truly been a journey, as Representative Grant has explained. Even for myself, being a medical cannabis patient in the Ohio Medical Cannabis Program has been a challenge. I can definitely say that. And it's really a big deal to see all of you here today. And to see everybody at home watching us online, this is a really, really big deal. And, you know, for me, like a lot of Representative Graham, I decided to break a leg, but I had surgery, and it really took me down. And it took everything I had to come here today. But I knew this day was really important, and it was crucial that I be here. We did have some technical issues, so if you are watching this on Zoom, we do have YouTube live up now as well. So the Zoom will go on through the day. We will be having guest speakers from 9 a.m., well, a little past 9 a.m. now, after this, and then we'll also have a discussion panel will start at 12 to 1 p.m., and then we'll pick up with the guest speakers after the panel is over, and then the whole event will end at 3 p.m. So I just want to give everybody a kind of idea of respect. Lunch will be here hopefully around noon, so we have some box lunch. So if you are here in the building and you have registered, make sure you get your ticket for your box lunch, and make sure you write your preference for your ticket for box lunch. Due to some unforeseen technical difficulties, I will have to go and fix some stuff with my computers, but we are all still here. And like I said, we're going to have a really good event for you. We're going to provide you with a lot of information. As Reverend said, she kind of gave a lot of history, so I'm not going to do the history. But I've been using cannabis since I was 15 years old due to having a traumatic brain injury. I was brutally assaulted on my 15th birthday. I had my left orbital, or my left eye socket broken. That's the simplest way to put it. And I somehow stumbled across cannabis from some friends, and I found out that it helped me. I've been using it ever since. So when the program came online, it was a really big deal to me. Obviously, as time has went on, I ended up creating Ohio Cannabis Live, which is an organization to provide resources to Ohio residents in regards to not just medical cannabis, but cannabis in general. And again, it is really, I never thought I'd be able to do this. I mean, I'm disabled going forward. Without the help and support of Representative Grant, Tim Johnson, Manalack Alexander, John Melky, I just want to name some people who have helped me along the way, and all the people on Reddit who have been sharing our flyer and helping us get the word out. Thank you, Reddit. And thank you to all my YouTube subscribers who are watching this, and everybody else who is watching this via Zoom. If you have questions, there is a program on our website, cannabislive.com/Cannabis Lobby Day. We'll be able to download the program there so you can follow along with the rest of the guest speakers. But again, I just want to thank everybody, including our participating partners. Stanford Wellness, thank you for providing us with the lunches. We really appreciate you. And everybody else who volunteered to make this thing possible. I just want to personally thank you again. And if you don't see me where you guys already know, you can reach me. Oh, I don't know what that was. All right, so that's the end of my speech, and we're going to go ahead and keep it rolling with the next speaker. I think somebody's talking on our Zoom. All right. Thank you, everybody.
So now at this time, we are going to introduce Don King of Normal.
Intern, okay.
Guests and fellow activists, my name is Don King. I'm Executive Director of Normal, Appalachia, Ohio. We are a regional chapter of Normal in Washington, D.C. Which is based in Washington, D.C. Why we're here today, let's take full advantage of this day to support marijuana reform and contact your representatives, whatever it takes to get this done. Our Normal Appalachia chapter has been very aggressive to bring reform to local level, to criminalizing to no penalties for misdemeanor amounts of marijuana under home rule. Doing our work, we have the opportunity to go door to door, talking to citizens in a comfortable environment, while collecting our signatures, having the chance to hear their stories and their opinions. We get a true feel of the subject. I'm here to tell you that marijuana law reform goes beyond party lines. We've got support with all party groups, majority support. People's support is overwhelmingly positive. Everybody we've talked to, you still run into your naysays, but they're usually polite about it. Just quietly close the door and let you go. But the majority of them are very supportive, very open, very forward about how they think about this. So with that, I want to go into a story which happened in Nelsonville, Ohio, while I was collecting down there one time for a local decrim there. It was a spring primary, so it was cool, warm, sunny, and it was a primary. So it was a cool day, bright sunshine in Nelsonville. A spring primary with lots of registered voters about. About midday, two elderly women walked out of the polls. One tapped her friend on the shoulder and pointed over toward her sign with a big smile. They walked over to us and asked if they could sign our petition. We said, yes, if you're 18. Their eyes lit up and the smile was wide and bright as the sun. They said, I think so. I said, well, I'll take your word for it. They both happily signed our petition, turned and walked away and looked back and said, thank you, and said, well, we don't do it, giggling and laughing as they walked away. So that's the power of the moment. This is why we do this. This is why we go door to door. People and we go to the body screaming, pain, knees, feet. But you just push on. One more door, please, one more door. That's pretty much what we live by down there. So with that being said, every door has its own story. There are so many Ohioans out there who've never registered before, who are more willing and openly willing to register to vote freedoms of home rule brought by the power brought, the ballot initiative has brought to sight. Most people don't even know that the power of people is stronger at the local level. Effectively, the most purest form of direct democracy is a citizen's ballot initiative. Okay? Due to our dedicated activists throughout Ohio, complete criminalization under the sensible marijuana initiative has been a trend now for 6 years. Being voted on by citizens and acted by city councils that realize the value of their own town. These protections exist in 22 municipalities. 14 more will go on the ballot this year. They're on the ballot and be voted on by voters. It's time we make this trend for the entire state, restoring citizens' rights one town at a time if necessary. With that, I'll end in words of Margaret Mead. Never doubt this small group of committed citizens, committed, dedicated citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing it ever does. Thank you very much.
So now we are going to introduce a longtime advocate who I believe has been doing this work since 1982. We are going to be introducing Miss Mary Jane Gordon.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. I'm sorry, get something to drink. Well, good morning. I'm Mary Jane Gordon, and it's great to be here. Thank you to Menelec and to everyone who planned this lovely day. I hope we're going to have some legislators here, because that's who we really want to talk to. I hear some are here, and I'm sorry I don't recognize you, other than obviously Representative Brett. Then welcome. I'm thrilled that you're interested in our issue, and I think we're going to have a lot to teach you and let you know about why we need to have greater freedoms, if you will, for cannabis in Ohio, and federally as well. So again, my name is Mary Jane Gordon, as I said. I write a monthly column called Mary Jane's Guide for the Columbus Free Press. And Mary Jane, as I said, is my real name. I actually was born and run with this name, so it's been with me all my life. So I write a column, as I said, called Mary Jane's Guide, based upon my name, and I guess the 20 to 40 years that I've been in cannabis reform, depending upon how you count those years. And so I thought I'd start out, what I'm going to do is I wrote this article for the Columbus Free Press, and it just posted yesterday. And it's Mary Jane's Guide to Breast Cancer and Cannabis. It's a Q&A, a question and answer piece. And it just posted to the Free Press yesterday, so you can read it there. I mean, it's a Free Press, I think is the URL for it. I put some copies over on the table, and I also put some copies of some bill analyses that I've done for HB 382, for the initiative, and also for Senator Schuman's draft proposed federal legislation. So those are designed to be compared. It's basically along the same frameworks, but you can see what one has, what the other has. And of course, it's probably all outdated now because these things change quickly over time as they progress through the system. And we don't actually have anything from the federal government yet, so we don't really know what the end result, if any, there will be from the feds this year. But my most recent article, as I said, covered a breast cancer and cannabis. Now I thought, rather than starting at the end, I started at the beginning. I started at the beginning, but at the end. So I'm making sense right now. Okay, so what qualifies me to talk about cancer? Okay, what qualifies me? I'm not a medical practitioner. In fact, I don't have much medical education. All right? So what qualifies me? Well, first of all, sounds right, but I have an MBA in finance. And what that taught me was how to analyze information, pull out data, things like that. So if you're familiar with my work, you'll see a lot of that infused in it. And so the next thing that qualifies me, I shun sometimes to say this, it's embarrassing, but I spent 9 years with Big Pharma. I was at Big Pharma. These are the big pharmaceutical company that was the leading marketer in its time of cancer chemotherapy agents. And my job was to analyze them and report to management on various things about them. So therein, I think after 9 years in that industry, I think I know chemotherapy. Okay? So what's the other thing I think about my experience with ADRA Laboratories? If you don't know what ADRA is, if you go up off 161 in Dublin, that's where the Ohio University Medical School is. At that time, before that was ADRA Laboratories. And so the other thing I did was I was a project manager on a database of over 30,000 cancer patients, and I listed all of their medications and all their visits they had to the doctor. So as being a project manager on that database, I really got to delve into what cancer patients were going through. And I should add that ADRA's primary product, and I look at this as a product sort of way. This may sound counterintuitive to do this, but now as the pharmaceutical companies, we're all products, we're all widgets. We'll get to that in a minute. All right, so the final thing, I'm a medical cannabis activist. Well, you know what? I was going through my old normal box. Everybody has their normal box, right? So I was going through my normal box, a few days ago, looking through all this stuff. I found a letter from National Normal to me, dated 1982, welcoming me to marijuana advocacy. Okay, I can prove it. So, I said, wonderful. In 20 to 40 years, I got proof. And then finally, the other fun thing I think that qualifies me to talk about cancer is that I am a cancer patient. Last year at this time, I was diagnosed with what was called triple negative, grade 3 breast cancer. And that's about the worst thing you can have. So lucky me, I get the worst thing you can have. And this is kind of a story about how I dealt with that diagnosis and then why I'm standing here with you today. And like I said, you can read this on more about it if you go to the Free Press website. All this stuff is there, okay? And in fact, when I write stuff for the Free Press, I link everything. That's how I cite things. Rather than footnotes, I cite them by linking to this. So you'll see my work is heavily linked. Now what I thought I'd do, now that you know about me, and I have the authority, if you will, or authority, nothing else, to talk about breast cancer. I thought I'd run through this because this is Breast Cancer Month. This has been nationally declared Breast Cancer Month by the American Cancer Society and the National Breast Cancer Foundation. And not note that its roots lie in the pharmaceutical industry because it's now AstraZeneca was heavily involved in the founding of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. That kind of makes sense. And so we also see in the Breast Cancer Awareness Month a little pink ribbons, and I think there's an interesting story there because it grew up, what are we but protesters, in our own individual ways. So this grew out, the little pink ribbons grew out actually a protest from a woman who had her family died of cancer and was upset because very little of the budget for breast cancer is is attributable to prevention, and she felt that that was her way of making a statement. Boy, it made a big statement because these pink ribbon campaigns are so prevalent now, and they've been picked up by the Susan Komen Foundation, who was a major funder of clinical trials at major universities, and it's also been picked up by I guess I said this, the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. So let's a little bit of the elements here. I'm sure you guys know this. This is how the article works. I'm just going to run through them kind of quickly. And so what's breast cancer? And I quote you from the National Cancer Institute. It's a disease in which some of the body's cells grow uncontrollably and spread to other parts of the body. That's, just kind of basic definition. And when I do these articles, I do a tremendous amount of research. I'll probably access 500 sites maybe easily. Yes, I use the internet. And so what I've learned is that we all contain cancer cells within us at some point. And the cancer cells are normal. When things go awry, they actually multiply much faster than they should. So the idea that somehow every one of us in the world is cancer-free, that's probably a real misnomer, because a lot of us, I say, some people in autopsies still find that people actually had cancer is fairly well developed. That wasn't what caused their death. And so how does cancer develop? Well, again, it occurs at the cellular level, where your cells just grow uncontrollably, and this is caused by, they talk about the environmental factors, but there really is good information that shows it's genetic. And there's particular genes that could cause those cells to go awry. And so the metastasis is when they go awry. That's kind of the technical term for cancer cells multiplying uncontrollably. And they can spread by your lymph system or your blood system into other parts of the body. And so when you say I got cancer, breast cancer as an example, when those cells go and travel to my brain, just as an example, that's still considered breast cancer, because apparently the cells are the same. They're just relocated someplace else. And cancer is detected, particularly in my case, it was a routine mammography. All of a sudden I had stage 3, level 3 breast cancer. But it's detected through, MRIs, ultrasounds, biopsies, etc. And there's several stages, as they said, of breast cancer, which will determine if you're ever in this situation, what treatment you'll get. You can have stage 0, which is basically, it's not invasive, it's just confined where it's at. You'll have it go all the way up to grade 4, which is metastasized, as I say, other organs. There's cell grades, they're called 1, 2, and 3. I had level 3 where their cells were growing much faster than they should have. So there's a hormone status that different hormones will in your body. Cancer can be treated with using hormone therapy if you have certain types of hormones that in the cell. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail here because I don't think this, you can certainly read it in the piece, but basically you have cell receptors and no receptors. So when you don't have any cell receptors for the hormones, that means that hormone therapies, like maybe you've heard of tamoxifen, they don't work. So you have to opt for, usually what they'll say is chemotherapy. Same thing with the HER2 status, and as I say, with negatives for the hormones, and the HER2 is called triple negative, okay? So how prevalent is breast cancer? All right, let's talk about that. This is from cancer.net. An estimated 280,000 women will be diagnosed in the United States this year with invasive breast cancer. That's the kind that spreads, already spread. And 49,000 people will be designated. And it doesn't have to be just women, guys. You think you're out of the woods because, but no, you're not. Men get breast cancer in far fewer numbers, but as I say, you guys aren't out of the woods. All right, so, and then let's see, we have an estimated 41,000 deaths from women and 530 for men from breast cancer. 530 men, as I said, last year died of breast cancer. Think about it that way. Well, on the converse side there, it's about 44,000 women who died of breast cancer. Okay, keep those numbers in mind. Now, how is breast cancer treated? All right, well, there's several approaches depending upon what it is and how far it's spread. You can often go for local treatments like surgery, radiation is another type. Then there what's called the systemic treatments, which include chemotherapy, okay, hormone therapy, immunotherapy, targeted therapy, and each depends on the cancer type. And you can receive chemotherapy either at what they call adjuvant, and that's after you have surgery or something like that, or you receive it neoadjuvant, and that's before the surgery to potentially shrink the tumor. And now we get in the part where I start knowing a lot more than just the kind of the physiological basis. You know, how these drugs work. Some of them damage cancer cells, some of them block the chemicals that the cells need to divide. Some of them, as you well know, just will go in and kill anything that moves. You know, basically cells that are rapidly dividing, this stuff will kill as well as it will cancer cells. And so, like I said, I'm now in my favorite literature, which is what drugs are used to treat breast cancer, because that's what I studied for 9 years. These divide down what they call alkaline agents, and they do damage to the DNA of the cancer cells. And let's see, we've got cyclophosphamide, cisplatin, and carboplatin. Now, I think you'll find it real interesting, and this has been rumored, but I think it's true. Cyclophosphamide is actually made from nerve gas. Comprehend that one. Cisplatin, we talk about anything that says platinum in it, that's platinum. It has platinum in it. Okay? They call them platinum drugs sometimes. Next category is the antimetabolites, kind of like antibiotics. Here you have doxorubicin, which is AKA agromycin. That was the drug that I analyzed for 9 long years. And doxorubicin, interestingly, is called the red devil. I'm not kidding you. The red devil. You'll see the literature called the red devil. It is so toxic that you can't get on your skin. It'll eat your skin. People have said that you can't, it'll eat like toilets and stuff like that. You can't touch other people if you're on it because your skin will be toxic to them. Okay, so this stuff, I think this is where I started having moral issues with what I was doing, you know. It is so toxic. And it has a cousin there under the anthracyclines called donorubicin. They've got my topic, I think I'm just going to pronounce it wrong, inhibitors which inhibit cell division. Immunotherapy is something we've seen a lot about these days. It involves monoclonal antibodies and what they call checkpoint inhibitors. Now you see these commercials for like Keytruda or Ibrance or things like that. These are these immunotherapy drugs, and you'll hear the side effects of it listed real fast. And those people talk fast, it goes over music and stuff. And those things, you know, they may sound, the pitch may sound good, but they're very toxic too. And finally, we have target therapies, where in theory anyway, you can take a drug targeted to the tumor, and it works in that way. That kind of drug, one of them is called an aromatase inhibitor called letrozole. And this is kind of interesting and important. These things will often be given in combination, and what they do is they sign to them acronyms like CMF. C stands for cyclophosphamide, M stands for methotrexate, and F stands for chloruracil, and they will give all these three together, okay? And there's probably there's probably hundreds at least of chemotherapy drugs, and so you'll find this 3-letter, 4-letter, 5-letter combination to describe the protocol that they're using. And so, okay, and here's another place. Are these drugs expensive? And it is. Hey, I try not to give editorial comment, but I'll tell you what. You're talking about $150,000 a year for a drug, for an immunotherapy drug, where you have maybe, if you had half a chance of it working, you know, you'd be doing good. You know, $150,000, and then for that one, I call it a monoclonal antibody, it was $150,000 a year. Now, it's an interesting dynamic in the pharmaceutical industry because your off-patent drugs, you know, you have to take a patent, you're trying to offer drugs market exclusively in for, it used to be just 17 years, and I think they're eking now 30 years out of these market exclusivities. So these drugs that are new with you, like the Keytruda might be, you have patent expiration, you know, sometime in 2035. But the ones that were like 80, like doxycycline, the ones I've studied 80, 40 years ago, are now fairly expensive because they're off patent. And what you find is that, you know, I was told when I was having the treatment that I said, they don't use the doxycycline anymore. It's a thing of the past. It's done. You don't have to worry about it. And I said, that's BS. And I came home and looked it up. And so doxycycline's annual sales is about, let's see, did I have it on here? Yeah, maybe not on this particular. It's about, I'd say 480 million at least, 480 million to $1 billion a year. So does that say that this drug's not being used anymore? That's the reason they use it. These are cash cows that they offer in some of these regimens. They are older drugs, they're less expensive. I think they're somewhat debatable, but that's how you would see them promoted oftentimes. This is marketing, folks, because this cancer is a business, all right? So who markets these drugs? And guess who? The big pharma. This is why I was emphasizing. It's a for-profit industry. I think this is I'm just going to read it to you. They say, well, they tend to show the cancer drugs, show empathy, passion, their goals. The goal of any corporation is to increase shareholder value and owner wealth. That is important. These are not charities. These are companies out to make a profit. And so what were the debilitating side effects? I just told you a little bit about ivermectin and doxycycline. But what you want to look for, and in my article, all the drugs I talk about are linked to their FDA, what we used to call in my day, full disclosures. I think they call them package inserts now. Anytime you might be offered, no matter what the cancer is, you might be offered this drug, go in and pull its full disclosure, its package insert off the internet. And this is the FDA, this is what they're allowed to say, thanks to the FDA, that you pull this off and you'll read about the side effects. What you want to look for is what they call black box warnings. And it's just what it says it is. It's in a black box. And that's going to be your most dire warnings. And some of these warnings, as I say, they can go from, I will need to list some of these side effects. I got this here in front of me. Cardiomyopathy, that's your heart. In fact, adriamycin, as I was talking about earlier, it has a lifetime limit because it basically destroys heart cells. Okay? The hepatotoxicity, that's your liver, nephrotoxicity, you catch your kidney, neutropenia is really important because when we're talking about those immunotherapy drugs, that's the main side effect, is that they whack your immune system and you will have trouble fighting these infections and things like that. Other things would include maybe pneumonia, what they call chemo